joined by syndicated radio host Hugh Hewitt and radio host Mike Malloy, who is also nationally syndicated.
Hey, John.
Hey, you, now listen, is this going to be the nastiest, most gutter politic race that we've ever seen?
I think so. If you judge by the I think if you judge by the White House press corps this past week on the President's service and the Air National Guard, which was honorable, about which there was never any doubt that it was honorable, and about which the Manchurian chairman, Terry McAuliffe, invented a complete lie. They went to town on that for a week, so I think it is going to be pretty nasty, because McAuliffe will say anything and the White House press corps will cover anything.
Okay, but I just saw yesterday that the White House went on the internet with an attack ad talking about the fact that John Kerry got all these special interests. I hope you don't think this is going to be one way.
No, I hope it's not one way. I think you got to fight back. John Kerry began his political career as an anti-war radical, and he has gone left since then. I think it's important to point that out.
Okay, Mike, what's your take? Gutter politics for 8 months? I mean, I'm not sure I can stand it.
No, I don't think I can either, John, frankly, but I think Hugh pretty much just fired the first shot. As far as John Kerry starting his political career, what did you say, Hugh, with gutter politics? Come on, the guy's a war hero. He's not a coward like George Bush. He didn't duck into a Champaign unit in the Texas Air National Guard and then disappear like George Bush. So yeah, John, I think it's going to get rough. The Republicans have already started it.
Well, Mike, look, the White House released all this information talking about where the president was 30 years ago. I mean, in terms of the National Guard, the Republicans are saying, well, you know, Kerry was tied into to Jane Fonda, and now the Democrats are saying, you know, Bush is AWOL. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
John, look, I have seen the photograph of Jane Fonda and John Kerry. I'd like to see a photograph of George W. Bush showing up for his duty in Alabama. The photograph that really has gotten to me, though, is a photograph of Donald Rumsfeld and Saddam Hussein right after they made the deal on chemical weapons of mass destruction.
30 years ago, and the president has pay records and a whole host of other things. I mean,
no, that doesn't mean anything.
Spending time on this?
That doesn't mean anything. If George Bush can produce one shred of evidence, how about his daily sign-in sheets, where when you show up to serve your time in the National Guard, there's a record kept daily. What they released at 6:30 last night was 400 pages of gibberish. All George Bush has to do is come clean, and I don't think he can.
All right,
because he's got to come clean.
Okay, what's your take on it? They released a lot of information. How do you see this?
I looked very carefully through that today, John. There's a very important couple of details in there. George W. Bush was a hell of a fighter jet pilot. He was ranked quite extraordinarily competent. And I think what the Democrats have done here is invited to be placed on the center of the table a very important fact. Fighter jet pilots, I've known a couple, I'll bet you have as well, are extraordinarily competent young men. They're trusted with huge machines. They make life and death decisions on a moment's notice. And it is to the president's great benefit that this part of his life is coming forward. The lies that have been out there for a week, in which Mike has repeated. By the way, Mike, I saw on your website you referred to the Bush criminal family. If we want to talk about
the Bush crime family. Bush crime family.
Right, so exactly. I think what we're going to be in for is for a left-right conversation where the right is going to focus on the votes of John Kerry, which put him to the left of Ted Kennedy over 30 years, and the left is going to focus on nothing. And I think that's a good setup, John. I think you win that route.
No, I'll tell you what, Hugh. I'll tell you what.
Hold on a second. Let me ask a question, Mike. Look, you know, I'm hearing you guys going back and forth. Now, you got a website talking about the Bush crime family. And everything. When does this end?
It ends
the nastiness end?
Well,
I used to be in Congress. It was nasty. I was there. I didn't hate the other side. Why are we hating everybody here?
John, I remember when you were in Congress. I remember Newt Gingrich's Congress. I remember the ugliness that came out of the Republican Party. You know, for the Republicans to fall back now and say, oh, things are getting nasty. You folks invented it. Newt Gingrich had his word list, his phrase list. Listen to your other guests talking about John Kerry as if the man hadn't served his country, both in the military and in the political arena.
Well, Mike, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to about Newt, but here's what I do know. I know when I was there. No, I know this. I know that we.
You never heard of Newt Gingrich's word list?
Hold on a second. Let me just tell you. You talk about Newt or the Republicans being nasty. The last time I checked, we were accused of throwing grandma out in the street and doing all kinds of nasty things. And you know what? Well, the fact is, we didn't. So I don't know where you're coming from on that. Frankly, now you're playing on my part of the field.
Where I'm coming from, John, take a look at 3 million lost jobs. Take a look at the lie put out there by the Bush crime family where it concerns a Medicare prescription drug benefit. Take a look at the lies about the so-called tax cut. You don't know where the American public is? John, you've been out of politics too long.
No, but what I'm going to say to you is I get nothing but vitriol coming out of you. I'm really sort of surprised by this.
No, sorry,
Does this
John.
appeal to people?
Sorry, John. You're not. You're not getting vitriol. You're getting truth. See, this is what the right does. When somebody speaks the truth,
Mike,
it's labeled vitriol.
Let me just tell you this. One thing I learned in politics is you don't question people's character, call them liars, say they're criminals.
Unless they lie. Unless they lie.
Well, that's
everything
in your opinion. That's in your opinion.
Well, no, it's not. It's not my opinion.
Yeah, it is your opinion. When you call the Bush family criminals, and you start calling people liars.
You know what I'd like to hear? I'd like to hear one single.
You're on satellite radio because you can't get on regular radio. Now, I'm going to go back to you. Who do you think the Democrats need to pick in order to be more effective? In order to have I'm glad we lost the guy because I'll tell you something. On this show, we want to have people come on. We don't want people calling the president criminals, and we don't want our side, the Republican side. I happen to be a Republican. I'm pretty fair on this show. It's fair and balanced. But what I'm going to say is we're